Hello everyone. Today, we begin a journey into one of the most powerful spiritual books of our time, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. This book is not just about ideas. It is a guide to transforming the way we live, think, and experience life. At its heart, The Power of Now teaches us a simple but life-changing truth. The present moment is all we ever really have. Most of us live trapped in memories of the past or worries about the future. And this constant time-traveling mind creates stress, anxiety, and suffering. Tolle shows us that freedom comes the moment we step out of this cycle and awaken to the now. Through practical insights, stories, and simple exercises, the book helps us recognize the ego, dissolve the pain body, and find a deeper sense of peace that does not depend on outside conditions. This isn't about escaping life but about entering it more fully, with clarity, stillness, and joy. So, as we move chapter by chapter, let's open ourselves to these teachings and see how living in the now can transform not only our inner world but also how we relate to others and to life itself. Let's begin with Chapter 1 of The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. In this chapter, the author explains one of the most important truths about human life: we are not our minds. Let us explore this idea step by step in simple words. The chapter begins with a short story. A beggar sat on a box for many years, always asking people for money. One day, a stranger told him to look inside the box. When the beggar finally opened it, he was shocked to see that the box was full of gold. Eckhart Tolle tells us that we are like that beggar. We often look for happiness, love, and meaning outside of ourselves, but the real treasure lies within us. Our inner being, our true self, is far more valuable than anything the world can give. What is enlightenment? Many people think enlightenment means a special power or a superhuman state. But Tolle explains that enlightenment simply means being connected to life, to being. It is our natural state, where we feel one with ourselves and with everything around us. The Buddha described enlightenment as the end of suffering. This means when we stop living only in the mind, we stop creating unnecessary pain. What is being? Being is a word Tolle uses to describe the eternal life that exists beyond birth and death. It is present inside everything. It is your deepest essence. You cannot fully understand it with the mind, but you can feel it when you are fully present in the moment. Some people call it God, but Tolle prefers the word being, because it is an open word that does not limit or divide. Being cannot be captured by an image or belief. It can only be felt as the deep truth of I am. The greatest obstacle, identification with the mind. The biggest obstacle to enlightenment is our identification with the mind. Most people live as if they are their thoughts. The mind constantly creates noise, judgments, and fears. This makes us feel separate from the world, which causes suffering and conflict. The famous philosopher Descartes once said, "I think, therefore I am." But Tolle says this is actually the greatest mistake. Our true identity is not our thinking. We exist beyond thought. So how do we free ourselves? The first step is to watch the mind. Just observe the thoughts in your head without judgment. When you do this, you realize, there is the thought, and here I am, the one watching it. This practice creates a gap between you and your mind. In that gap, there is peace and stillness. That stillness is the beginning of awakening. Living in the present. Tolle reminds us that the present moment is the key to freedom. When you bring your attention to the now, the endless stream of thoughts slows down. You can practice this in simple activities, like walking, washing your hands, or even breathing. By focusing fully on the present, you connect with being. Rising above thought. This does not mean we must stop thinking completely. The mind is a useful tool when used correctly. But the problem is that most of us are slaves to the mind. True enlightenment is not about falling below thought, like an animal, but rising above it. In this state, you use your mind when necessary, but you are no longer controlled by it. Real creativity, beauty, and peace arise when the mind is quiet and connected to the deeper intelligence of life. Tolle also explains that emotions are closely linked to the mind. They are the body's reaction to our thoughts. For example, an angry thought creates physical tension, which we feel as anger. A fearful thought creates the feeling of fear. But when we watch our emotions without judgment, just like we watch thoughts, we no longer become controlled by them. Instead, we recognize them as passing energy. True joy, love, and peace. Most emotions, like anger, jealousy, or even temporary excitement, are tied to the mind. But real joy, love, and peace are different. They are not emotions. They come from a deeper level of being. They arise when the mind is quiet. Unlike ordinary emotions, these deeper states have no opposite. Real love does not suddenly turn into hate. Real peace does not depend on external things. They are part of our true nature. Pain and the ego. The author also explains that pain is part of human life as long as we identify with the mind. Emotional pain can even create physical problems. The mind constantly tries to escape this pain by seeking pleasure or fulfillment outside, but that only creates more suffering. The ego, the false sense of self created by the mind, lives in the past and future. It says, "One day I will be happy," or, "If only this had not happened." But in truth, only the present moment can free us from pain. The path to awakening. So, how do we move toward enlightenment? Watch your thoughts without judgment. Pay attention to your emotions and feel them in the body. Bring your focus to the present moment in everyday activities. Realize that you are not your mind, not your ego, not even your emotions. Every time you do this, you weaken the hold of the mind and grow closer to your true nature, being. The first chapter of The Power of Now teaches us that the greatest freedom is to realize, I am not my mind. Our thoughts and emotions are not our true identity. When we step beyond them and live in the present, we discover peace, love, and joy that no external thing can give. Chapter 2, which is about consciousness and the way out of pain. This chapter explains why humans suffer, how we create pain in our lives, and how we can free ourselves from it through awareness of the present moment. Tolle begins by saying that no life is completely free from pain. But most of our suffering is unnecessary. It comes from the way our unobserved mind controls us. Whenever we resist the present moment, we create pain for ourselves. This resistance happens in two ways. Through our thoughts, which judge and complain. Through our emotions, which create negativity. The stronger our identification with the mind, the stronger the pain becomes. The key is simple. The more we accept the present moment, the less pain we experience. Why the mind resists the now. The mind constantly avoids the present because it depends on time, on past and future, to survive. If we remove time, the mind loses its control. Think of nature. A tree or an animal does not worry about time. For them, life is always now. But humans live trapped in past regrets and future anxieties. This is why we suffer. We need time for practical living, like planning or remembering, but when time becomes our whole identity, we lose touch with the now. That's when pain and dysfunction enter our lives. The power of acceptance. If you want to stop creating pain, make the present moment your main focus. Instead of resisting what is, try to accept it as if you had chosen it. This doesn't mean you give up on action. It means you first accept reality, and then act from a place of peace. When you stop fighting the present, life begins to flow more smoothly. Acceptance turns even difficulties into opportunities for growth. The pain body. Tolle introduces the idea of the pain body. This is the stored emotional pain from the past that still lives inside us. Each time we experience pain and don't process it, it adds to this invisible energy field. The pain body can be dormant most of the time, or active during certain triggers. Sometimes it gets awakened by small things, a word, a situation, or even a memory. When it awakens, it can take over our mind and behavior. The pain body feeds on negative energy. It wants to survive, so it tries to create more pain through conflict, anger, or sadness. That's why people sometimes find themselves repeating painful patterns without realizing it. Observing the pain body. How do we free ourselves from this pain body? The answer is awareness. When you notice anger, sadness, or negativity rising inside you, instead of reacting, pause and observe. The moment you bring the light of consciousness to the pain body, it loses power over you. You stop identifying with it. You are no longer the pain itself, you are the watcher, the witness. This is not easy at first because the pain body can be strong. But with practice, every time you observe it without judgment, it becomes weaker. Awareness transforms pain into consciousness. Fear, the root of pain. Tolle also explains the nature of fear. There are two kinds of fear. 1. Practical fear, like not touching fire because you know it burns. 2. Psychological fear, worrying about what might happen in the future. The second type is the main cause of human suffering. It is always linked to the mind living in the future. The ego constantly feels under threat because it is not real. It is a false self created by the mind. This is why fear of death lies at the root of almost all human fear. Once you disidentify from the ego, fear loses its grip. You can still act wisely, but without anxiety. The ego's sense of lack. Another reason we suffer is because the ego always feels incomplete. It constantly says, "I am not enough." This can appear as low self-worth or as endless craving for more money, more status, more recognition, more love. People chase external things to fill this emptiness, but no matter how much they achieve, the inner hole remains. Why? Because true wholeness cannot be found outside. It comes only by connecting with being, the essence within. Breaking free. So how do we break free from this cycle of pain? Tolle gives us a simple but powerful method. Observe your mind and emotions. Don't fight them or judge them, just watch. Stay present in the now, even during pain. Recognize that you are not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your pain. When you do this, you separate yourself from the pain body and ego. Slowly, you discover a deeper peace within. True power. True power comes not from controlling others or gaining possessions, but from inner presence. When you live in awareness, you are no longer easily hurt or controlled by fear. You can respond to life with clarity instead of reacting unconsciously. This is the power of consciousness. It allows you to live free from the endless cycle of pain, fear, and dissatisfaction. The main lesson of this chapter is that pain is not necessary. Most suffering comes from identifying with the mind and resisting the present. By observing our inner state and living in the now, we can dissolve both present and past pain. The pain body may still arise, but it no longer controls us. Fear loses its grip, and the ego's endless hunger fades. What remains is a deeper peace, love, and wholeness, the true essence of who we are. Chapter 3 of The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The chapter is titled Moving Deeply into the Now. Here, Tolle explains how our mind traps us in time, past and future, and how true freedom can only be found by living fully in the present. Let's explore. Don't seek yourself in the mind. Many people believe they need to understand their mind completely before they can reach peace or enlightenment. But Tolle says this is not true. The mind cannot solve the problems of the mind. Our main problem is identification with the mind. When we mistake our thoughts and emotions for who we are, we create a false self, the ego. This ego always feels incomplete, always wants more, and always lives in fear. The moment you see that your true self is not the mind but the deeper awareness behind it, you step into presence. The mind is a useful tool, But when it controls your identity, it becomes destructive, ending the illusion of time. The mind and time are inseparable. If you are trapped in the mind, you are trapped in time, always living through memory or anticipation. The past gives you an identity. The future promises salvation. But both are illusions. Life is never in the past or future, it is always now. Tolle reminds us, time itself is not precious. What is precious is the present moment. Life is always unfolding here and now. The present is the only point that connects us to the eternal reality, or what Tolle calls being. Nothing exists outside the now. Think about it. Have you ever experienced anything outside the now? Of course not. Every event in history happened in a now. Every future event, when it comes, will also happen in a now. The past is only a memory that exists now. The future is only imagination happening now. Past and future borrow their reality from the present. When we truly see this, there is a shift in consciousness, from living in the mind to living in being. Suddenly, everything feels more alive. The key to the spiritual dimension. Sometimes, people experience this shift naturally, like in emergencies or dangerous situations. In those moments, the mind stops, and awareness takes over. That's why extreme sports or risky activities can feel so alive. They push people into the now. But we don't need danger to access this. Spiritual teachers across traditions have always pointed to the now. Jesus said, "Take no thought for tomorrow." Zen masters ask, "What is lacking in this moment?" Sufi poets like Rumi taught, "Past and future veil God from our sight." The message is the same. The now is the doorway to truth, peace, and God. Accessing the power of the now. When you are fully present, your perception changes. You don't just see the outer form of things, you sense their inner essence. But Tolle warns, one moment of presence is not enough. What we need is a permanent shift in consciousness. This begins by observing how our mind constantly tries to escape the now. The mind usually imagines the future as either better or worse. If better, it creates hope and anticipation. If worse, it creates worry and fear. Both are illusions. By observing this pattern, presence naturally increases. Letting go of psychological time. Tolle makes a distinction between clock time and psychological time. Clock time is practical, making appointments, planning, learning from mistakes. This is useful. Psychological time is when we turn past or future into our identity, when guilt, regret, or endless anxiety take over. Clock time is necessary for living. But psychological time creates suffering. The enlightened person uses clock time but remains free of psychological time. The insanity of psychological time. History gives us painful examples of psychological time. Ideologies like communism or fascism caused millions of deaths in the name of a better future. This is the danger of living for the future. It sacrifices the present and creates suffering. On a personal level, the same pattern appears when we are always chasing happiness somewhere else, waiting for the right partner, job, or success. In truth, the only place transformation can happen is the present moment. Negativity and suffering come from time. All negativity comes from too much past or too much future. Too much future creates worry, tension, and fear. Too much past creates guilt, resentment, and regret. When we live fully in the now, these emotions dissolve. A life free of negativity is possible, and it begins with presence. Finding life beyond the life situation. Often, people confuse their life situation with their life. Life situation means the challenges, problems, and circumstances we face. Life itself means the deeper aliveness within us. Even if your life situation is difficult, your true life always exists in the now. Ask yourself, do I have a problem right now? Usually, the answer is no. Problems exist in the mind's projection, not in the present reality. When you return to now, you reconnect with life beyond problems. All problems are mind illusions. Problems survive only in time. A situation may need to be dealt with, but the label, problem, is created by the mind. When you stay in the now, you either act clearly or accept reality without resistance. Both free you from suffering. This is why in true emergencies, people often act with incredible clarity and courage. The mind stops, and presence takes over. A quantum leap in consciousness. Tolle says humanity is undergoing a great shift, awakening from identification with time and mind. This is not guaranteed. We must cooperate by practicing presence. But it is our greatest chance for survival and peace. The joy of being. Finally, Tolle speaks of the joy of being. You can recognize when you are trapped in time by asking, is there joy, ease, and lightness in what I am doing? If not, time has taken over. The solution is not always to change what you do, but how you do it. Give full attention to the present activity, without clinging to results. When you act from presence, even small tasks carry love, quality, and joy. This is the essence of karma yoga, acting without attachment to outcomes. When the striving for the future ends, peace flows into your life. You no longer depend on external success or failure for happiness. You realize that deep within, you are already complete. That brings us to the end of Chapter 3 of The Power of Now. The key message is clear. The present moment is all we ever have. By ending the illusion of time, by letting go of psychological baggage, and by living fully in the now, we step into true freedom and joy. This chapter explains how our mind constantly pulls us away from the present moment. Tolle calls this loss of now, and he says it is the core delusion of human life. Most people live either in the past or in the future. The past is used to build identity, while the future is imagined as the place where fulfillment will finally come. But in truth, life only exists now. At first, being present doesn't happen all the time. We may slip into awareness for a few seconds, then lose it, then come back again. Over time, the presence grows stronger until it becomes our natural state. Ordinary and deep unconsciousness. Tolle describes two levels of unconsciousness. Ordinary unconsciousness. This is the normal state of most people. It means being lost in thoughts, emotions, judgments, and minor dissatisfaction. It feels like a constant low-level background noise of unease or restlessness. Many people try to numb it through distractions like food, alcohol, work, or entertainment. But these only bring short-term relief. Deep unconsciousness. This is ordinary unconsciousness intensified. It happens when something threatens the ego, such as loss, failure, conflict, or challenge. Then strong emotions like anger, fear, or depression arise. In this state, people often get taken over by the pain body and may even commit violence. The key, he says, is to practice presence in daily life. If you cannot stay conscious when things are calm, you will not remain conscious when life becomes difficult. Presence must be cultivated now, so that challenges become opportunities to awaken instead of reasons to fall deeper into unconsciousness. The constant seeking mind. Tolle recalls a story Carl Jung once shared. A Native American chief told Jung that white people seem tense, restless, and always seeking something, but they never look satisfied. This restlessness, Tolle explains, has been around for centuries. Jesus asked, "Can anxious thought add a single day to your life?" Buddha also taught that craving is the root of suffering. This collective resistance to the present has shaped our modern civilization, filling it with anxiety, discontent, and violence. Dissolving ordinary unconsciousness. So, how can we free ourselves? The first step is awareness. Notice the small ways you resist the present. Ask yourself, am I at ease right now? What is going on inside me in this moment? By observing your inner state without judgment, unconscious patterns begin to dissolve. Freedom from unhappiness. One common form of unconsciousness is resentment. Maybe you dislike your work, feel irritated with a partner, or silently resist something in your life. Whether or not your feelings are justified does not matter. What matters is that resistance to what is always creates unhappiness. When you resist, you turn the present moment into an enemy. This pollutes not only your inner space but also the collective energy of humanity. The solution is simple: stop what you are doing, speak honestly, or drop the negativity. If you continue with negativity, you poison yourself and those around you. Tolle emphasizes that negativity is never the best way to handle a situation. Any action taken from a negative state will carry that same energy and produce more suffering. Acceptance versus resistance. Sometimes people argue that it is okay to feel anger or sadness, and indeed, the first step is to accept what is there. But true acceptance means going deeper. When there is no resistance, the negative feelings dissolve naturally. The ego, however, tries to hold on, because it feeds on separation and suffering. Examples of ordinary unconsciousness. Complaining. Whenever we complain, we make ourselves victims. Instead, either take action, leave the situation, or fully accept it. Anything else is madness. Resistance to place. Many people feel here, is never good enough. They want to be somewhere else. But true freedom is to be fully where you are. Stress comes from being here, but wanting to be there. The cure is to act totally in the present, whether you are running, working, or resting. Living in the past, thinking too much about past achievements, traumas, or mistakes reinforces a false identity and even accelerates aging. Die to the past each moment. Worrying about the future. Most what-if thoughts are mental illusions. In reality, you can always deal with the now, but never with the future. Waiting. Many people spend their whole lives waiting for the next vacation, job, relationship, or success. But waiting means rejecting the present. True life is always now. The inner purpose of life. Tolle explains that life has both an outer purpose and an inner purpose. The outer purpose involves goals, destinations, and achievements. These belong to the dimension of time. The inner purpose is to awaken, to deepen your being, and to live consciously in the now. Both purposes can exist together. But when outer purpose overshadows the inner, life becomes empty. Success in the world without presence is inner poverty. The past cannot survive in presence. Finally, Tolle addresses the past. Many believe they must analyze their history or even past lives to heal. But he says the past is endless. You could spend forever digging into it. The only way to dissolve it is to face the present fully. The unconscious past shows itself through current reactions, moods, or fears. By observing them in the now, without judgment, you free yourself. Presence burns up the past. Insights may come about why patterns exist, but those insights are side effects. What really transforms you is awareness itself. Chapter 4 teaches that the mind has countless strategies to avoid the now: complaining, waiting, worrying, living in memories, or obsessing over goals. All these patterns keep us trapped in time and cut off from being. The solution is always the same: bring your attention back to the present moment. When you do, even ordinary activities become infused with peace, joy, and love. The false self built on time begins to dissolve, and your true essence shines through. The past cannot survive in presence, and the future cannot enslave you. The power of life is always here, in the now. Chapter 5: The State of Presence. It's not what you think it is. Understanding presence. Eckhart begins by saying that presence is not something you can grasp with the mind. You can't think about presence, you can only be present. The mind always wants to analyze, compare, and define. But presence is beyond thought. It is a direct experience. He gives a small experiment. Close your eyes and ask yourself, I wonder what my next thought will be. Then wait, just like a cat watching a mouse hole. For a moment you may notice a gap, a silence before the next thought appears. In that gap you are fully present. No noise, no mental chatter, just alert stillness. That is presence, rooted within yourself. To stay present in daily life, Eckhart says you need to be deeply rooted in yourself. Otherwise, the mind will drag you along like a wild river. What does it mean to be rooted? It means to feel your body from within, to be aware of your inner energy field. When you are connected with your body, you are anchored in the now. The true meaning of waiting. Eckhart compares presence to a special kind of waiting. Not the restless waiting we usually know, like waiting for a bus or waiting for success. That kind of waiting rejects the present moment. Instead, he talks about an alert, peaceful waiting. Imagine a servant waiting for his master to return at any moment. The servant stays awake, watchful, and still. This is how presence feels. You are fully here, fully awake, ready for life as it unfolds. Even some parables of Jesus, Eckhart explains, were about this. The wise women who kept oil in their lamps symbolize people who remain conscious and present, while the careless women represent those who live unconsciously, caught in time and thought. Beauty through presence. Have you ever looked at the stars on a clear night, or listened to a flowing river and felt a deep stillness inside? That's presence. You were so still in that moment that beauty revealed itself to you. Eckhart explains that beauty arises when the mind becomes quiet. The flower, the bird, or the sunset was always beautiful, but you needed to be present to truly see it. Without presence, you may look and say mechanically, "Oh, what a nice flower," but you don't really feel its essence. Presence is also the doorway to creativity. Many modern works of art or architecture, Eckhart says, lack true beauty because they come only from the restless mind, not from stillness. Real creativity flows from presence. Presence and being. Presence is the direct experience of being, the essence of life itself. Being and consciousness are one. When you are present, life itself becomes aware of itself through you. But words can't fully describe this. Presence isn't an idea you need to understand. It is something to live, here and now. Consciousness in all things. Everything that exists has some level of consciousness, even stones, plants, and animals. Consciousness expresses itself through countless forms. But in humans, consciousness has become deeply lost in form. We identify so strongly with our mind and our roles that we forget our true essence. This is why humans experience fear, suffering, and conflict. But the good news is that suffering pushes us to awaken. Just like the story of the lost son in the Bible who leaves home, loses everything, and then returns to his father with greater depth, our journey through unconsciousness can lead us back to conscious presence, but at a deeper level than before. Watching the mind. Each time you observe your thoughts instead of getting lost in them, something amazing happens. Consciousness withdraws from the thought forms and becomes stronger as the witness, the silent observer. The thoughts lose their grip. This is not just a personal practice. It is part of a much bigger event, consciousness awakening in humanity. Through you, life itself is remembering its true nature. Drugs, distraction, and the escape from mind. Eckhart points out that many people try to escape the pain of the overactive mind through alcohol, drugs, or distractions. These may give temporary relief, but they don't lead to awakening. The real solution is to rise above thought into presence, not to fall below thought into numbness. Humanity cannot go back to unconsciousness. We must move forward into a new level of awareness. The power of silence. Presence can also be felt in silence. Even when there is noise, silence exists in the background. Listening to silence creates stillness within. That stillness is presence itself. It is life free from thought. Christ and presence. Eckhart uses the word Christ as another way of describing presence. Christ is not a person's name, but a symbol of divine essence within every human being. Jesus realized this truth and became a living expression of presence. When he said, "Before Abraham was, I am," he was pointing to timeless being, beyond past and future. The second coming of Christ is not about one person returning from the sky, but about a collective shift in human consciousness, the awakening into presence. Recognizing presence in others. If you feel drawn to a spiritual teacher, it is because the presence in you recognizes the presence in them. Light recognizes light. But the teacher is only a mirror. The real presence is already within you. Even group gatherings and presence can help. When people come together in awareness, they create a powerful collective field. This supports awakening not only in individuals but also in the larger human consciousness. Still, Eckhart warns, don't depend on a teacher or group forever. Presence must ultimately be lived directly by you. Chapter 5 reminds us that presence is not a concept but a living experience. It is the stillness beyond thought, the alertness of true waiting, the gateway to beauty, and the essence of who we are. When we practice presence, we help not only ourselves but the whole of humanity awaken from the prison of the egoic mind. The state of presence is the most powerful gift you can give yourself and the world. And the best part? You can access it right now, in this very moment. We've now explored the first 5 chapters of The Power of Now, and each chapter has shown us a powerful truth. In Chapter 1, we learned that true freedom begins when we step out of the constant noise of the mind. Chapter 2 reminded us that living fully in the present moment dissolves suffering and brings peace. Chapter 3 taught us how time, past and future, is an illusion that blocks us from true presence. Chapter 4 showed us that negative emotions lose their power when we observe them without judgment. And Chapter 5 guided us to connect more deeply with our inner body, helping us stay rooted in the now. Together, these chapters form the foundation of a new way of living, one that is free from constant worry, more peaceful, and more connected to our true self. If these lessons have inspired you, imagine what the rest of this journey holds. We'll keep exploring how Eckhart Tolle's wisdom can bring real change to our everyday lives. So, if you found value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stay with me for the next chapters, and let's continue this journey into the power of living in the now.